Ecocide proposal aiming to make environmental destruction an international crime.
Here's a summary of the article.
That's not to say Dr. Killian sees no value in Stop Ecocide's campaign to create a workable legal definition of ecocide. She believes such a definition could better inform national laws in countries that are genuinely committed to fighting climate change, and may eventually help lead to the establishment of a standalone international environment court. Jojo Maida says she's convinced establishing ecocide as a global crime would provide a guardrail for humanity in seeking to limit future widespread damage to the environment. We hope that this law will be a foundational piece. Not a fix-everything panacea, but a foundational piece towards a new way of operating with nature. The expert legal panel assembled by the Stop Ecocide campaign is due to complete its first draft mid-year. It will then be submitted to the International Criminal Court's membership assembly for consideration. RN in your inbox. Get more stories that go beyond the news cycle with our weekly newsletter.
This post received a score of 37,000, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I'm sure that in principle this will apply to all countries, but effectively it will only be used against weaker ones. Nations are not as much a problem as transnational corporations.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with this more. And too often their crimes are marginalized and minimized down to fines.
When the penalty is a fine, that means this is legal, but only for the wealthy.
Not if the fine is a percentage of the global income of a company. And it is actually enforced. They should also fine partners.
And how do you plan on enforcing such a thing? When all of the big five in the UN ignore it? Try and get Tuvalu to set tariffs on the US? Try and done them. Go for it.
That's when actions are meant to have consequences, but sadly the planet appears to have forgotten that one. The planet has time itself on her side. We do not.
Exactly. The planet will repair itself. We, however, are more than FCKED.
Corporations too.
Nope.
Which is exactly why this is a terrible idea. Its only function will be to increase the wealth gap while doing nothing to help the environment.
It's only a terrible idea if you don't realize that's exactly what this law is intended for.
So wealthy countries will continue to do as they please and nations without wealth will incur a lot more debt. The system works.
Surprised Pikachu.jpg.
Keep in mind that almost all of those people were referred to the ICC by their own countries, in which the country would have certified that its own judiciary couldn't be trusted to handle the case, and the rest were referred by the UN Security Council, because the government itself was still doing something like Darfur. The US, which has some people who should be prosecuted, isn't a party to the court, and Europe's closest modern equivalent to Darfur had its own ad hoc international court, the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, before the ICC even got proposed.
Brazil's populist leader, Jair Bolsonaro, a self-proclaimed climate change denier, initially ridiculed the idea of an ecological emergency and refused to accept international assistance. Surprised face.
Bolsonaro tomou no cukkkkkkkkkkk.
But we don't hold countries accountable for the crimes they already commit?
Yeah, and like every other international law that countries break, no other country, or governing body, will do anything when larger nation-states break these rules. They are literally just doing this to pat themselves on the back. Edit, spelling.
Something like this will probably come to pass eventually, but it will be too little, too late.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.